Riley, I am such a disaster, seriously. I just ran into Mark, the big boss, on the sidewalk outside the office.
Oh no, I already know this is gonna be bad. What happened?
I had my sunglasses on, a coffee in one hand, my bag on my shoulder, and he suddenly walks right past me.
Uh-oh.
And instead of acting like a normal person, I kind of panicked. I mumbled something weird like, "Hey, yeah, morning," and just kept walking.
No way, that's it? You just walked past the boss?
Yep, didn't stop, didn't introduce myself, didn't even take off my sunglasses.
Did he even know it was you?
Probably not. I looked like a crazy person rushing down the street with a coffee. From his perspective, it was probably just some random guy muttering at him.
That is incredible.
I know. And as I kept walking, I realized what I should have done. I should have just stopped for 2 seconds, taken the glasses off, and said something normal like, "Hey Mark, it's Kendall from the Speak Anglo project. Nice to see you."
Exactly.
But no, instead I panicked, said something weird, and escaped like I was in a spy movie.
Oh my Kendall, you really can't go anywhere without a scene, can you?
Apparently not. At this point, I'm surprised the coffee didn't spill everywhere too. But honestly, as I was walking away, I started thinking about it, and I realized something.
What's that?
I do this all the time. Not just with Mark. Whenever I meet someone new, or even someone I kind of know, I suddenly forget how to introduce myself like a normal human being.
Oh yeah, everyone does that.
Right?
Your brain just freezes. You know your name, obviously, but in that moment, it's like your mind goes completely blank.
Exactly. You start thinking, wait, what do I say first? Do I shake hands? Do I explain who I am? Do they already know me?
And the longer you hesitate, the more awkward it becomes.
Which is exactly why I wanted to talk about this today, because if I'm struggling with this as a native speaker, I know it's 10 times harder for people learning English.
That's a fair point. Introducing yourself is actually one of the first things people learn in English, but doing it naturally is a different story.
Exactly. Textbooks usually give you something like, "My name is Kendall. Nice to meet you."
Which is correct, but real conversations are usually a little more relaxed than that.
Right. Native speakers usually add small details or context.
So today, we're going to show you how real introductions actually sound.
But before we get into how I fixed my next awkward encounter,
if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and give us a like. It helps us keep the lights on and the coffee, well, in the cup.
Seriously, without coffee, this show would not exist.
Not even a little bit.
Also, I'm running out of clean shirts, so clearly things are falling apart over here.
Okay, so when you're starting an introduction, what's the first bit of English we actually need?
The easiest way to think about it is name and where.
Name and where.
Yep, 2 simple ideas. Who are you, and where do you fit in this situation?
Because if you just say your name and nothing else, it can feel a little incomplete.
Exactly. Imagine someone just walks up and says, "Hi, I'm Kendall."
And then silence.
Right. The other person is probably thinking, "Okay, but who are you? Why are you talking to me?"
Context helps people understand the situation.
Exactly. And this where part can be anything. It can be your hometown, your country, or just your connection to the room.
Right. You're not just a random person. You're the neighbor, the coworker, the traveler, or the new student.
Like if I'm at a meetup or traveling, I don't just say my name. I'll say, "I'm Kendall. I'm originally from Chicago, but I've been living here for about 2 years."
See, that is so much better. It gives the other person a map of who you are. Or if you're just on vacation, you'd say, "I'm Riley. I'm from London, but I'm just here for the weekend." That extra piece of information makes everything feel natural.
Which reminds me of my hallway disaster yesterday.
Oh no, another disaster?
Yep. I ran into the girl from apartment 4B.
Haven't you lived next to her for a while?
A year. A full year.
And you never introduced yourself?
Apparently not. We were both standing there waiting for the elevator, in total silence.
Oh, that is painful.
It was terrible. Just the sound of the elevator cables moving and both of us staring at the floor.
That awkward neighbor silence.
Exactly. I was literally staring at my shoes, trying to pretend I was very interested in the floor.
So did you actually say something this time?
I finally forced myself to speak. I looked up and said, "Hey, I'm Kendall. I live just down the hall in 4A. I've seen you around, but I don't think we've actually met."
That's perfect, though.
It worked immediately.
See, that's exactly what we mean by name and where.
Right. I gave my name, and then I explained where I fit in the situation.
And suddenly the silence disappears.
Exactly. She immediately said something like, "Oh, hi, I'm Sarah. I just moved in last year."
Boom! Conversation started.
And suddenly the elevator ride felt normal instead of painfully awkward.
I actually did something similar at the coffee shop this morning.
Really?
Yeah, I go to the same coffee shop almost every morning. The same barista makes my coffee every day.
And you never learned their name?
Apparently not. So today I finally said, "Hey, I'm Riley. I'm in here every morning, but I realized I never actually caught your name."
That is a perfect example.
And the barista laughed and said, "I'm Alex. Nice to finally meet you."
See? That's such a natural introduction.
Much more natural than walking up and saying, "What is your name?"
Exactly. That sounds a little formal in everyday situations.
Another situation where this works really well is when you're traveling.
Absolutely. If I'm traveling, I might say something like, "I'm Kendall. I'm originally from Chicago, but I'm just here for the weekend."
And that gives the other person something to talk about.
Right away, they might say, "Oh, really? What brings you here?"
Or, "How do you like the city so far?"
And suddenly you have a real conversation instead of awkward silence.
Which is exactly what we want.
Because trust me, the awkward shoe staring strategy does not work very well.
Yeah, let's try to avoid any more of that.
Just a quick note for everyone learning English.
Listen carefully to the phrase I used earlier.
Riley said, "I never actually caught your name."
That's a really common expression in English.
And it's a much more natural way to ask someone's name if you've already seen them before,
Instead of asking directly, "What is your name?"
which sound a bit formal in casual conversation.
So if you've already met someone or you see them often, you can say something like, "I'm sorry, I never actually caught your name."
Or, "I don't think we've actually met yet. I'm Kendall."
That phrase, "I don't think we've met," is what we call a polite assumption.
Right. Even if you are 100% sure you haven't met, saying, "I don't think we've met," sounds much softer and more friendly than saying, "I don't know you."
Both of those sound very natural.
And they make the introduction feel relaxed instead of awkward. So, once the name and where part is done, people usually ask the big question. So, what do you do?
Yeah, that question shows up in almost every introduction.
It really does. Once people know who you are and where you fit in the situation, the next natural thing they want to know is what you do for work.
And this is where I see a lot of English learners get stuck.
Exactly.
I always hear people say just their job title and then silence. Like, "I am a teacher. I am an engineer. I am a student."
Right, and those sentences are perfectly correct English,
Grammatically, there's nothing wrong with them.
but in real conversations, they can feel a little short.
It's like the conversation hits a wall.
Exactly. You give the label, and then there's nowhere to go.
The other person might just say, "Oh, nice."
And then everyone stands there thinking, "Okay, what do we talk about now?"
That awkward pause again.
Exactly. So what I've noticed is that native speakers often do something a little different. They add a small detail after their job title.
Just one extra piece of information.
Right, something small that shows what they're working on right now.
That tiny detail makes a huge difference.
I actually saw this happen at a party last week. I met a guy named Leo. You know how it goes. You meet someone, you talk for a minute, and then they ask the famous question. So, what do you do?
The universal small talk question.
Right. So when Leo asked me, I could have just said, "I'm a creator."
Which is technically true.
But instead, I added a little detail. I said, "I'm a video creator. I'm actually working on some new English lessons this week."
And what did he say?
Immediately, he got interested. He said, "Oh, really? My brother is trying to learn English. What kind of lessons?"
See, that's exactly what we mean.
The small detail opened the door for a real conversation.
Suddenly, there's something specific to talk about.
Exactly. We ended up talking for 10 minutes about language learning and online education.
All because you added one small detail.
And the funny thing is, Leo did the same thing when I asked him what he does.
Oh, really?
Instead of just saying, I'm an architect, he said, I'm an architect, but I'm mostly working on sustainable housing right now.
That's such a good example.
Immediately, I had questions.
Of course, you want to know more.
I asked things like, oh, really? What kind of buildings? Are they apartments or houses?
But I've started noticing that when we talk about our own hobbies, we don't usually just give a general list.
You're right. We always add that one specific thing we're doing lately.
Exactly. As native speakers, instead of just talking about hobbies in a very general way, we almost always talk about something current or specific.
It just makes the answer feel more real. Like, I'm not just a person who likes movies, I'm a person who is watching this movie right now.
Exactly. For example, instead of me just saying, I like traveling, I've started being more specific. I love traveling. I'm actually planning a trip to Australia next summer.
Oh, see, that immediately gives me something to respond to.
Exactly.
If someone told me that, my next question would be, oh, really? Which cities are you planning to visit?
Right. Or someone might ask, is it your first time in Australia?
Or, what made you choose Australia?
Suddenly, there are lots of possible directions for the conversation.
All because you added one specific detail.
Exactly.
It's like something that happened to me at that party we talked about earlier.
Oh yeah?
Someone asked me what I like to do for fun.
And you didn't say, I like TV, right?
Thankfully, no. I tried the same trick. I said, I'm really into a new mystery show on Netflix right now. I stayed up until 2 a.m. watching it.
That's dangerous information.
I know.
And I bet they asked you the name of the show immediately.
They did. The first thing they said was, oh, what show is it? Then we spent the next few minutes talking about different mystery series.
Which is much better than just saying, I like TV.
Way better.
Let's look at a few more examples learners could use.
Good idea.
Instead of saying, I like cooking, you might say, I love cooking. Lately, I've been trying a lot of Italian recipes.
Or instead of, I like reading, you could say, I've been reading a lot of mystery novels lately.
Another example. Instead of, I like sports, you might say, I've been playing a lot of tennis recently.
Notice how all of those answers include something current.
Something happening these days.
That's what makes the conversation feel alive.
Let's quickly look at an important detail in the language we just used.
Earlier, we used words like lately and right now.
Those are very useful words when you're talking about hobbies or interests.
Because they tell the listener that this is something happening in your life at the moment.
For example, I've been reading a lot lately.
Or, I'm really into a new show right now.
These words make your answer feel more personal and more current, instead of talking about your life in a very general way.
Exactly. When you say lately or right now, it sounds like you're sharing something that's part of your life today.
And that makes people curious.
Which helps the conversation continue naturally. So if we look at everything we talked about today, there are really 3 simple pieces to a natural introduction.
Right.
First, who you are.
Your name.
Second, where you fit in the situation.
Maybe where you live, where you're from, or why you're there.
Third, what you're working on.
Your job plus one small detail.
And finally, something you're interested in right now.
A hobby or interest with one specific detail.
When you combine those pieces, introductions feel much more natural.
And most importantly,
No more awkward silence.
no more staring at your shoes in the elevator.
Or mumbling at your boss on the sidewalk.
Hey, that was one time.
Sure it was.
Let's put it all together one time slowly so you can hear how it sounds in a real introduction.
Listen carefully to the structure.
Hi, I'm Kendall. I live just down the hall in 4A. I'm a video creator currently working on some new English lessons, and I'm really into planning a trip to Australia right now.
Notice how each part adds a little more information.
Name,
Where you belong.
what you do.
And something you're interested in right now.
Now it's your turn.
Try writing your own introduction using these 3 steps.
Start with your name.
Add where you're from or where you belong.
Then say what you do.
And finally, mention something you're interested in right now.
Write it in the comments below.
We love reading them.
And it's a great way to practice using the phrases you heard today.
Plus, it helps other learners see different examples.
Exactly.
We'll be checking the comments.
And maybe we'll even feature some of the best introductions in a future episode.
That would be fun.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
See you in the next lesson.
Bye, guys.